Well, good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone today. We're happy to see you take time out just for you. Art is our passion. It envelops us. It guides us down unknown trails and awakens our senses, follows in the shadows, but always at our fingertips, ready to be released. Art education and retirement from art education can be very overwhelming and exhausting, believe it or not. Yes. And especially after this past year. So, on the flip side, however, art can be your self care, our life preserver in life struggles. So, today, let art free you from that year long exhaustion and stress, and let it be your self care for today. Relax, enjoy, and welcome to all today.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. Kathy is one of our co-liaisons for our emeritus retirees in the Nebraska Art Teachers Association. I was hoping Debbie Kipley, who's the other co-liaison, would be able to join us, but we thank both of them for serving in that role. As we know, this group in our organizations can sometimes not be represented fully or maybe underserved to a degree. But we're thrilled that we have that capability in our state to have that representation. So thank you, Kathy. We really appreciate that. I want to cover briefly what the agenda is today, and then we're going to get started because we have two very exciting presentations today. First of all, we're very fortunate to have Catherine from Wisconsin, and she's going to be sharing for about 30 minutes or so some information about how you might connect or reconnect to other retirees as well as your professional organizations, whether it be your state association or the NAEA. So she has some really amazing information to share with you today. We will take a few-minute break, and as I said, during that time, you can go search for those items that maybe you need for Linda's presentation, which will start around 10:30 Central Time for about an hour or so. And Linda understands, as we all do, an hour is certainly not enough time to fully engage in what it is that she does every single day as her creative outlet. But this is going to be an introduction. And then we will have a way that you can share your artwork with all of us through a Google Doc or a Google folder that I'm going to share with you as well. And then at the end, we'll do some thank yous and a little bit of closure and announcements. So on behalf of the Nebraska Art Teachers Association, we welcome everyone here today. So Catherine, it's all yours. Please introduce yourself and share with us.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. And I'm so excited to see Betsy here too. So Betsy, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit later in the presentation because I want to make sure that people can connect with you because you're part of my presentation. Just to I probably should have emailed your message to you earlier. I'm going to go ahead and put up my PowerPoint. All right, and that's looking good. All right, so my name is Catherine Erlene Barris, and I am, let's see if I can get this going. Why is it not working? We'll try this. There it goes. So I'm a recent graduate from teaching. I'm a recent retiree. Decided that back in the fall, 2 days actually before school started, I just wasn't comfortable going back in the way that our district had us set up. And being 63 years old, my son said, "Mom, it's time. Maybe the pandemic forced you into retirement, but it's time for you to do something else, to work on your chapter 2 of your life." And I started teaching in '82, and probably back in maybe 6-7 years ago, I realized at some point in time I was going to have to retire. This isn't something I could do forever. I taught middle school and in the same classroom for 30 years. And although I love it, it's my passion, I knew at some point in time I wouldn't be able to keep up with my students anymore. I am also the co-chair of a Visionary Design Challenge for the Wisconsin Art Education Association, where I live in Wisconsin. And probably, like I said, about 6 years ago, I started thinking, when I retire, I have to be sure that I still have my connections. I'm very involved in NAEA. I just stepped off the board being the middle level rep for the last 2 years. I really wanted to find a way that our state association would allow retirees involvement, because so many of my friends were retiring, and then I was losing connection with them as a participating member of the Wisconsin Art Education Association. So this idea of making connections is really important. All right, so I thought about, okay, so I've retired. What do I really, really miss? Well, I miss my students. And for those of you that have retired a little bit longer than I have, maybe you still do miss your students. I really, really miss learning. And this learning with my students was so important. That's what allowed me to grow. Collaborating with colleagues, those are things that, and especially during a pandemic, those are things that I really, really miss. I also miss teaching, the act of teaching, the art of teaching, and thinking about attending inspiring conferences. My gosh, if you're retired, why would I go to a session on classroom management? I don't need it anymore. And managing my grandkids, I got that down. I only have 2, so that's pretty easy. So why would I attend a conference? And that's what my retired friends were saying too. So here's what we need to think, and this is what we need to consider. We have to, and I'm just going to move this around a little bit. There we go. We need to understand what our association offers retirees. And actually, I'm going to challenge each of you to be a bridge within your association, if you want to think of it. You're going to bridge retirees, again, back with the working folks within our associations. If you're, and I believe not everybody is from the state of Nebraska, correct, Bob? Okay, so, and that's what I was kind of hoping. So some states do have a retired emeritus rep. Not all states do. And in my research, I found that about half of our states have this rep. And the sad thing, out of about 24 states, 4 of them don't even have that position filled. And some of the positions might overlap. They might have the retired rep in with something else. So the person that's the rep really isn't retired. And being retired is very different. Our needs are very, very different than a person who is currently teaching. Our association, as well as the national, has that decreased cost in registration to attend conferences, and decreased costs in membership to be a member of the association. And that's really important to make sure that we're having those conversations with our associations, because as a retired person, right now I'm doing just fine, but later as things continue and conference costs continue to rise, we really have to think about our retirees. Also, we have to have sessions just for retirees. And about 3 years ago, a light bulb went off, because I said to one of my friends, dear friend, I said, are you coming to the conference? She goes, well, why would I? Why would I attend? There's nothing there for me. And again, I don't want to go to classroom management. I don't want to know about this EE folder stuff. I don't want to know about this. I'm not going to do that. So in our state, during that conference, I said, okay, here's what we're going to do for retirees. We're going to provide them with a room that they, it's free, they can attend, they're going to make art. Our retirees are going to make art, and it's going to be like an open house, because I want to see my friends. And it ended up being kind of like a meet and greet or a mentorship area for networking. And that room was full all day, and they created work. And the goal was, let's bring in somebody who can even work with us to produce a piece of artwork, a collaborative piece of artwork. Then we can auction off, and maybe it's within a city, get some big bucks in, and then that money goes to student activities within our association. And that was a huge, huge hit. And I think we need to even look at that at the national level. Why can't we do that? And how fun is it? Think about when you go to a conference, the first thing I do is I look for the people that I know. And all those people weren't there at our conference anymore. So think about understanding, again, what your association offers. And again, if it doesn't, you're going to be the bridge to bring it across into your association and your conferences. And then lastly, something else that I needed to understand was, and push hard for it about 5-6 years ago, what kind of honors do we have once our retirees are out of the picture? And oh my goodness, maybe we celebrate teachers all the time, but as soon as you leave your classroom, what kinds of things do like, oh my gosh, when you did this, this is amazing. So we kind of followed suit with NAEA and what NAEA was doing with fellows. And we brought in the fellows awards within WAEA, Wisconsin Art Education Association. And and if you'd like information on that, I can certainly email it to anybody, or Bob, I can give it to you and you can attach it to my PowerPoint if you'd like to do that. The fellows program in Wisconsin, we try to bring in 2 to 3 new members every year. Sometimes they've already been, they're deceased, they've already passed on, but it's a way for us to honor the family as well. And we might have one deceased person. Some of you might know Kent Anderson. He was from Wisconsin. We haven't honored him yet, but he was so involved within not only our state association, but NAEA as well, and school arts. He was the editor of school arts. So by honoring him, even though he's passed on, his family has an opportunity to come and we celebrate with. And I think that's really important. So we have a couple Wisconsin teachers who we've celebrated that are no longer with us. And some of the people that we bring on board, they're definitely retired, but they're definitely still involved within our association. All right, so let me move on here. So this idea of being a bridge really needs to come about you reinventing how you're going to be involved. And I love the idea of reinvention and problem solving, and think of an obstacle and how you're going to get over that obstacle or around it. So one of the things that I've been asking a lot of our retirees to do before I retired was, can you help us at a conference? Now, not all associations will do that. And it's interesting because sometimes as a retiree, you say, yeah, if you need some help, let me know. And then you're forgotten. So I have some ideas about that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But a lot of times it's you reaching out to your association saying, and you have to be very specific. I have from 9 to 1 o'clock on Saturday. I would love to come and help you. Great, I've got a place for you. If you say, I want to help you at the conference, we're all scratching our head, those that are involved in the conference saying, I have no idea how I can use you. But you say, I want to work at the registration table. Oh my gosh, nobody wants to work at the registration table. Or, I really want to help with lunch. We have on-site lunch. I'd love to pour coffee. I have this amount of, oh my gosh. And then not only as a retiree are you coming in to help where it really is needed, and the association and the conference chairs have no idea that they need your help until you, say, I have this to offer. You're going to be really involved back in where you want to be involved, and not the like cleaning out the bathrooms, not the icky stuff. Pick a job that you really want to do. Judging hanging art, student exhibits, really important too. We have we have 3 big student events in the state of Wisconsin, and a lot of times we never reach out to our retirees to help. And just recently we've been talking, why aren't we asking this person who's been so involved in our association to help us out? They could help us judge. They know the program. Why wouldn't we be using them? And again, as a retiree, if you're leaning in or reaching into the association saying, I have this to offer, this is what I'd like to do. It makes it even better for your association. Exhibiting your own work is something that I finally have an opportunity to do, but you can also do that within your association as well as your community. So make sure that you're looking for those opportunities for involvement. This idea of presenting with your passions, there are certain things that I love and I can't let go of, and they're still relevant, and they're going to be relevant, even though, I know that 5-6 years after I haven't been in the classroom, they're still going to be relevant. And if you think about it, all of us that have been in education, I started my career in 82, and I was actually teaching well before that too. I'm 63. But I've watched this pendulum go from one side to the other. And it's interesting that the things that I was doing back in the 70s and 80s, they've just been renamed. They've been rebranded, they've been repackaged. They're still the same stuff. They're still good. And although we brought other things into the mix, they're still important. And I find that the things that I learned about classroom management, seriously, in 1981, 82, 80, maybe 80, 81, they still work. They still work. So those things that you're really passionate about, they're not going to be time sensitive. They're still good for younger teachers to know. And as you're still presenting within your state associations and definitely the National Association, definitely, I want you to think about mentoring. And again, that means reaching in, and maybe it's local. Maybe you know a new teacher that's just started within your district that used to teach in. Oh my gosh, reach in and say, hey, I used to teach within the district. I'd like to come in and help you if you need that type of help. Or can I come into your room and just be your aide for a while? Volunteering again, I think is going to become, I know last year, no volunteering, but I think that idea of volunteering is going to be good. And once you get your foot in the door, you can always mentor and help. These younger teachers are going to need it. Connecting with community, I know we've all been there, and how do we, and Kathy and I were just talking before this presentation started, but we're talking about this idea of, how things connect with us, and the skills and the things that you've been doing for so many years are still relevant within your community. And we have a local artist, it's called the Artisan Forge, and it's an amazing building that has over 20 rooms and studios for artists in our area. And so it's it's one of the two hubs that we have here in Eau Claire. And whenever I just need a little bit of my community, and especially during the pandemic, I put on my mask and I thought, I got to go see my people. I'm not in the classroom anymore. I miss these people. So I went in and I'm talking, and I did I'm retired. I've got some time. What can I do to help? And right away, everybody goes, well, yeah, we'll call you if we need you. I knew right away in the tone of their voice, they had no idea what I could do for them. So I listened in a little bit more, and in talking to the owner, I said, what do you got going on? Because I thought if he has something going on that I can help with, then I'm going to suggest it. And he said, oh, well, the month of March happens to be Creative Economy Week, and I'm all about entrepreneurship. And I said, Greg, I'd really like to come and help you. What kinds of activities do you have with this Creative Economy Week? And he was naming off a bunch of things. And I listened. And then he said, I've got this garage door on the back side of the building. They had about 20 different garage doors, and they have street artists come in and spray paint. The artwork is amazing. And he goes, I got this one garage door, and at some point in time, might be kind of fun to have maybe kids paint on it. And I said, gotcha. I said, we'll come in May 8th. And I had exactly 2 weeks. We're coming in May 8th. I got a group of kids for you. We're going to paint this garage door. And he goes, are you serious? I said, yep, got it. I said, I'll get my hands on 12 kids. I said, what about materials? Do you have, because I don't have a budget. I said, do you have any materials? Oh yeah, I got spray paint. I said, okay, got it. I've done murals. I've never done a spray paint mural in my life, but I'm a teacher. I can figure it out, right? And I have connections. So as soon as I left his place, I felt myself alive again. I was going to teach. I was going to be part of a learning experience, and I was going to stretch myself because I had never done this before. So I thought, oh man, and then I had a little panic attack too, because I thought, what in the heck are you doing, Barris? Well, I went back to my connections, and it just so happens one of my parents, he's a street artist. He does murals. He spray paints. And we've done some things together. So I called him up and I said, Jason, I got this crazy idea. He goes, I'm all in. And so with that, I contacted my parents from the last few years. And I said, hey, can I borrow your kid for, maybe all day, on Saturday, May 8th? Yeah, he's yours. She's yours. He hasn't done anything. He's been sitting on the couch. The parents were so excited about getting the kids out and doing things. And so I grabbed another art teacher. We had 4 secondary schools represented, 12 kids, and let me show you what we did. Let's see, does it connect? There it is. Okay. So this is, and I know it's kind of small, but I will, I'll send this to Bob. So this garage door happens to be 20 feet wide. I know it doesn't look it, and it's about 30 feet tall. We had scaffolding, and you can see the signatures of the kids. We asked them to go ahead and tag it in any way that they wanted to. It took us a full day. And you might say, yeah, I mean, it looks like kid art. The great thing was this connection that we provided for the artisan forages. We brought in family members that had never been there before. So it was win-win for Greg, for the owner. The other thing was we exposed our kids to a new art form that they would never do in the classroom. And then along with that, there were about 20 different artists within the studio sharing their work. So the kids were exposed to that as well. It became a field trip for the kids as they took breaks. Let me show you some close-ups because this is when it becomes a little bit more interesting. So the texture and the quality of the painting when you get up close is just gorgeous. And I think you probably know what this star means. On any map, what is, oh, and let me go back. This is a map of Eau Claire. This happens to be the Chippewa River running through our city. We have a historical area down here, some big mansions. We have a downtown area here with some buildings. They barely show up, but I'll show you close-ups. We have the Eau Claire River running in. So this is the confluence of the two rivers where we have, it's called the Pablo Center for the Arts. So we have some musical notes there. People fish here. I'll show you close-up. So there's fish within the mural. And then University is down here. This is called Half Moon Lake. It looks like a horseshoe. It's green during the summer. It's already green. There's some fishing there, but I wouldn't eat any fish that came out of that lake. And then this is our interstate system that goes through Eau Claire. What Jason and I did is we prepped this door a little bit. We put in some black lines and then literally taught the kids some of the techniques and let them go, and they had a ball. The star is "You Are Here." So you can see where Artisan Forge is in relationship right here to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And then along with some of the techniques that we used actually came out of my classroom. I did teach adaptive art. And so different types of resists. You can see paint kind of dripping down. The kids love that. You know, go ahead, let it run. This is what we want to do. We did some printmaking. We took bubble wrap and we printed on the water to get a little bit of texture. This is a resist where we use contact paper over the top of dry paint. And then I had them spray paint over the top. We did the same thing with the musical notes. We have a couple different areas where music is important in the city of Eau Claire. Fishing, ducks. We have a lot of ducks. There's a part of I want to say a neighborhood up here, and you'll see some of the kids are really getting into this idea of, you know, how do you get texture and how do you get movement, because we're using the principles and elements of art and design. Wherever you see a tree, that's where we have a park in Eau Claire. We have quite a few parks. And this idea of, oh my gosh, getting movement was just so much fun. It isn't just about getting speckles of paint. Now, as we worked on this, we ended up with every media coming to cover this. And so having that exposure was amazing. This is just one example of our local newspaper that came in. And I love that, you know, he titled it "The Artist's View of Eau Claire" because it was a map. And here's a couple of my former students just having a ball. Lily took off her mask, little stinker, because there was a camera there, but they did wear masks the whole time. We were still supposed to wear masks even outside at March, but or in May. Jack, of course, follows directions well. He even wore his gloves so his hands wouldn't get dirty. But this is one of the ideas of how to connect with community and keeping your eyes open and saying, oh, I can do that. Artist in residence is another thing. I used Jason, one of my former parents, to be our artist in residence and teach the kids. But if you have that, not only that passion, but that knowledge to be an artist in residence, sometimes there's money and we know sometimes there's not. Volunteering is okay as well. And then lastly, I thought I absolutely have to show you. Let's see if I can get this. Oh, let me go back. Where's I lost my cursor. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Artisan market. So NAEA has, and if when you attend NAEA on Thursday night, usually there's an artisan market that has, 40, 50, 60 art teachers selling their artwork, which is cool because not only do we teach, but we also make. And as I'm doing research to talk to you today to find out what other states are doing, I came across this in Maryland. They actually have on their website, and I think Wisconsin's going to do this. I've got to do a little bit of work with my friends, but we only have an artisan market during our conference, but why not have it on your webpage? So here's Maryland, and they have, they're celebrating all of their teachers as artists and allowing their teachers to sell their work via their website. How cool is that? So this idea of bridging and finding the connections, we're really good at that anyway, but not letting somebody say, you know, anytime I offer, I'm thinking, okay, they have no idea of what I can do. I have to be specific. I've got the time, I have the passion, I have some knowledge, but I also want to continue learning. That's really important. All those things that I said that I missed, I'm going to continue finding them. And Bob, I'm doing okay with time. I'm talking super fast. All right. So when we look at this idea of how do we connect, one of the ideas that I'm going to put Betsy on the spot, because Betsy is our special interest group. She is our emeritus rep for NAEA. And Betsy, I know that you've started a conversation on Facebook, and maybe this group doesn't know about the Facebook group. And if you could talk about that and talk about this idea of how we really need to come together and be our own community as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I'm the president of RAEA, just started. So we, and Debbie West, you can chime in because she's one of the administrators, and Lorraine Polling of the new Facebook page. We redid it. We found that nobody could find the Facebook page, and we're trying to change the direction a little bit, and including pre-service. Anybody that really wants to join doesn't have to be retired, but we're trying to refocus ourselves on mentorship and the importance of how we as retired teachers can mentor these new teachers coming in and teachers that are still there, because if we don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. You know, a lot more people are retiring now, and with the pandemic and things like that, a lot of things have affected that. So if you don't know where the Facebook page is, just type NAEA Emeritus Group and we'll let you come in. But we're really working on that. We're an issues, not issues group. What do they call it now? Interest group. Yeah. I've been a member for so long, I can't remember half the things, but an interest group. So, we can go to delegates assembly, but we can't vote or do things like that, but we can present ideas and things like that. So there's a lot of different things we're trying to do with the Facebook page. We have an RAEA e-bulletin. And then I found out that Catherine, she and I have been kind of double dipped. I went through and contacted every single state, whether they had a middle level person. I mean, not middle level. Sorry, I used to be middle level too. Sorry. Whether they had a retired person or not. And if not, who to contact, or if I've got the president's name. I also contacted the overseas, the British Columbia, all the different people, because I want my ideas to start a little email group to because sometimes you don't get to say what you want to say in the articles in the NAA News or our e-bulletin because you only have so many words, and then people don't get to answer you. And I'm starting a little spotlight on different states or different representatives and what they're doing in their states for the NAEA News. I guess the new one came out. I'm used to getting the magazine, so I haven't figured out. It won't let me download the new NAEA news. So when the new one comes out, we have spotlighted. Nancy Walkup is going to be president-elect, and then Terry Walton, who's from Delaware, has done some really cool stuff with an exhibit of famous women in Delaware, and also she did a pandemic. So we focused on her. So if I get things, I figured this is a way to spotlight. So maybe it'll help increase other states to do some of the things that they're doing. And I don't know, some of you're new. So, the RAEA has a silent auction at NAEA that we can do. And, I know our state has started we do an artisan market, but we're trying to do some new ideas for retired, because once they retire, they just think, okay, I'm done. But we still have so much to give people. I judge, and I'm going to present some workshops at a local school for their teachers, things that we can do. But if we don't know about it, if your state doesn't know about it and you don't have anybody to represent you, it's hard to get that word out. And then I felt there was a little disconnect between the interest group and the states, because people would say, well, I'm a rep. I got a couple people that said, I'm a rep, but I don't know what I'm doing. Or I don't know what I need to do. So maybe creating a kind of a guideline for these reps, and any ideas that you guys want to send me would be good. Things like that. And then as far as NAEA, and I know our state doesn't have very many retired workshops, but I think I'm going to be presenting one. But anybody can write a proposal for NAEA to present. And the retired, it depends on your group size as to how many you get voted. And we have a pretty big group. So, or not voted, selected. So I know I've applied, me and Lorraine and Debbie and 3 other retired have proposed to do a panel on what to do, what states can do for retire. I don't know if it'll get accepted, but if it does, that, just get our foot in the door and start bringing us back up, kind of like resurrecting us a little bit. Because I think, Debbie, was it you that said we're retired, but we're not dead? Or maybe I said that. I don't remember what we said that, but so I don't know what else do I need to say?
That's awesome. I think if the group doesn't know about the Facebook page, because I just I didn't know about it until Betsy and I reached out to Betsy to get some information. And Betsy, I'm going to send you the document that I have. I emailed everybody too, and I think I got 2 responses from Nebraska, and then I can't remember the other one. And she said, I just came on board. I don't know what I'm doing. So we really need to get everybody talking. But if you wouldn't have mentioned the Facebook page, I wouldn't have known about you either. So I thought that's important to share. And I think too, if there's a spot, I don't know, Bob, can we do a Google Doc where we can share some things out? Or Betsy, is that something that you would rather do at an NAEA level?
Well, that's what I was working on. That's why I started contacting these people to see what they're doing, and maybe do, and with the presentation that we're going to do in New York we're going to have some new idea if we get accepted. Sorry, I'm prepped. And we can still do it if we don't, because we've got a retired art educator from, I don't know if anybody knows Dr. Ann Renee Joseph from Washington, and Catherine Hillier, and Lorraine and Debbie and me, and Chris Fonte from Pennsylvania, one from each region, that are going to give ideas that they do. And Ann Renee Joseph is actually a consultant and has her own firm that presents things, but she's also a retired art educator. But a list of things that's why I was saying we could develop this document for states to see what I'm retired. I'm a retired rep. What do I do? What do I just go to the board meeting and that's it? Which is kind of what our state person does. But she doesn't know what to do. And that would be something to share. And all these ideas that we can get from all the different states there's some things that I've looked at and I'm going, oh, wow. I've gotten a response from almost every state, whether they had one or didn't have one. And so hopefully, and some of the states are saying, oh, we need one. We need to get a retired rep, because, that's where we lose the people. They're retired and they may stay a member,
Mhm.
but then they go, well, why, like you said, why should I go to a conference? There's nothing I can do. You know, I don't teach these, you know, I just go to those workshops for fun, you know, the elementary ones and the things like that, because it's fun to play with that stuff. But there are some things that we could do to help
Mhm.
expand our role and keep ourselves active, because, you know, sometimes you retire and you crawl in a hole and you just kind of wither away. And, you know, our whole life we spent teaching, and our goal was to help in art education. And that's still a goal. Just because we're not teaching, it doesn't mean we can't be there to help it and to add our knowledge and things that we know that we can do that work, and maybe things that don't work.
Mhm.
So,
And I like that you mentioned that this is really a huge benefit for associations, because they're going to keep that membership. And I
mhm.
know the state of Wisconsin, we're always pushing. So, you know, we're going to get up to 700 members. I think we're at 600 something, but that's our goal, 700. Well, if you keep your retiree membership, your numbers are, you know, obviously
Mhm.
going to be higher.
Well, and it's discounted, you know, in registration at the conferences in our state and at national are discounted. So, you know, you save a little money there. And I noticed Donna posted about the emeritus, the e-newsletter, emeritus newsletter, which we can actually get a little bit more information from that than the NAE news article, because we've got the whole newsletter. I don't know if any of you get that. And if you don't, you can let us know. Donna, maybe you can chat or tell us, like, unmute and tell us how do they get that? Does that go to all the members, the emeritus members?
Okay, can you hear me?
Uh-huh. Hey, Donna.
Okay, hi. Yes, that should go to you if you're an emeritus member on within AEA. You should get an email that says that the emeritus newsletter is out. And if you get that newsletter, then it'll give you a little place to click to go to it. If you don't get that newsletter, just know that it comes out every other month. So it'll come out in July, that is the next one. And you can go to the NAEA site and go to RAEA, search, and it'll go right to all the other newsletters. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a
Done.
good, you know, get a little bit more in there. And I had an idea, it went in my head when she was saying that, and I forgot. I have Sometimers disease. I can't remember what I was going to say about that. Oh, I know. We could actually, you know, when we get this little document, we can also put it in the bulletin, you know. But another goal is to increase our retired members in our state, you know, give them a reason. Why do I need to be, you know, we have enough problem in my district where I was getting some of the teachers just to join NAEA at all. And you know, they're in there for their art and to show up and get a paycheck. But you know, there's some passionate teachers out there that maybe just don't even know about us. And that's one thing I know Debbie and Lorraine and I are big on, this mentorship, because we got to get them when they're young and get these pre-service teachers and these student chapter members. And, you know, that's kind of dwindling, and we're working on that right now to build that up and to refocus some of the things that we're doing with our AEA and the collaboration between the student chapters. So that's, you know, that's a big thing. So, and I know Alabama's like y'all, I guess. We're always looking for art teachers because there's no programs. The programs are withering away. But if we're not there to advocate, what's going to happen?
Betsy, can I tell you something we're doing
Yes.
in Virginia? We actually, at our conference, we hold our retiree meeting at the same time as our pre-service meeting. So we put our pre-service and our retiree into the same room.
Good idea.
And they set up mentorships, trade numbers, trade information, and it's just a real easy flow. And we did that a few years ago, and it's worked really well.
Yeah, no, we give a scholarship. I don't, y'all probably do too, to pre-service to students to come, and then we also give it to one new teacher to come to the conference. So that helps. But like with Alabama, there's not very many art ed programs, so it's kind of hard. There's maybe three in the state. But it's funny because the smaller colleges have them, in Auburn and Alabama, which are the biggest ones, don't have art ed at all anymore. So That's a problem too. And we're also, that's another idea that we are working on is combining with higher ed, the pre-service and the RAEA. We're going to try to work together to do a lot more things to try to, like you said, Linda, get those things out there. So
Yeah, those connections are amazing.
Those
That
connect- oh,
make
yeah.
it happen. It's incredible. There's also an RAEA award, correct?
yes,
Yep.
and
I've
we're
helped judge
restructuring that
for
a little
number
bit.
of
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a student chapter award and a student chapter award and a emeritus art educator award. And we're working on that right now to kind of refine that. The student chat, I can't say a lot yet because we haven't finished it, but to get that, that's something that some people want us to get rid of, but we're fighting to keep it because that's what our Constitution and our bylaws have, that we were going to keep supporting them. And if we figure too, if we keep supporting these student chapters, maybe the colleges will keep, try to get them more involved again. When I was on the board the first time as middle level division director, it was in the late 90s. That was a big thing in colleges. These, they wore their t-shirts. I remember the best t-shirt I ever saw was Florida Art Ed, because it had UFA Art Ed. So you farted. I wanted that so bad, but I knew I couldn't wear it to school. But they were just huge. Sarah Cressman, she was the president of it. And now she's just, these kids that I've saw, Heidi O'Hanley, things like that they did so well. And I want to see that come back, that they had so much fun at the conferences. I mean, RAEA used to have it was like a reception. And, you could get invited to that and they'd have the students there. And that was like a big thing. Of course, money wise, that kind of petered out because it gets so expensive at these hotels. But things like that to get these students involved in. And I would love to see, eventually see how many has started like when we started teaching that are still there,
Oh, I'll show you
that
my
are still teaching maybe. Hey, tell your husband we said hi, Lorraine. But there's just so many things that you want to do and you want to keep it up. So I'm just hoping, we can start doing that. And, the pandemic hurt a lot of people, with the organization, it was hard to get in touch with people. And a lot of people were just, dropping out from, they don't want to do virtual learning, but I know with Renee, you're at university, right? Let's see, Renee, where are you? You're retired now. You were, yeah. Yeah.
But I'm my own practice now, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But we see the numbers dropping and that's what I'd like to see.
It actually is going up at George Mason. We've got a,
good. Yeah. I think it's like
so
that'd be an interesting study somebody could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Justin Suiters is there and he's raising it.
Yes,
so,
he's good.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Bob Sable would want to do a study on trends. I get Bob, my buddy Bob.
He's the dean now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. He's been the dean his whole life, but in his head. I love that man. He's so crazy.
I love what Renee posted in the chat too. She said to invite 3 to 4 people to the next meeting.
Mhm.
And getting more people involved. And you're right. Not only do we have to grow the retired group, but retired group should be reaching out to those pre-service. I think that would be just an amazing connection.
Right. And I noticed Debbie's talked about a seat on the board. We don't have one. We're just an issues group. I know when I was on the board, part of that, and Dean, you've been president, part of that is, I think, because we represent every division anyway.
Mhm.
And I guess we can get our whatever we need to do through them, but we are different, so
I
because
think
Dean's been there. Dean's been president. He was there when that was when student chapters were really big, right, Dean? When you were president?
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
They were very operable. And my understanding now is that there aren't as many that are quite as active. There's a whole conversation about that, as you well know, about student chapters and what RAEA can do with them now. And somebody said, you said, I guess, many colleges don't have the support that they need for those groups. So that's change. Yeah.
I know one thing I'm going to do this year when we do have an award winner. I said that we need to email the president of the college. I mean, not email, send them a letter to the president, not just the department chair, but the president. That these people higher up in colleges may not even know these students and these kids are getting recognized. And what better way to promote your program than to let, and maybe even write to the board of trustees. I'm thinking of that too, because if they see that, this, ooh, these people are getting national recognition. We need to focus on this program a little bit more.
Now, something else that's happening, and I don't know if it's happening in your states, but in the state of Wisconsin, we have lost so many art ed programs at the university level. They have, and that might have something to do with student chapters as well. But we've lost, I think we lost our program at Eau Claire. We had, I think 5 or 6 over the last couple of years. And so, and some of the programs that are picking them up are not very strong. So I don't know too, if this group could look at how do we keep art ed programs going in university? And
That's one thing that we're working on
that
with the higher ed people. So
that
Renee.
would be amazing if we could help them as well. Bob, how are we doing for time? I think we're over our limit.
Well, I think the conversation is great. We can continue this, but certainly if you need a break, you should go ahead and do that for yourself, because approximately 10:30 Central Time, we will start Linda's section of the workshop today. But if people want to hang on and keep talking, I say keep doing it. And then about 10:30, we will start with Linda. Catherine, great presentation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Betsy, thank you for being
Sure.
here in, because I've been busy on my end. I should have asked you if it was okay. So I'm sorry I didn't.
That's all right. Kind of glad I decided to come. No, I decided when I first saw it, but
I
So
just
keep the conversation going. Otherwise, take a break.
Renee.
I just wanted to comment on, somebody commented about this idea of asking 3 or 4 people. Like, I'm sorry, Enid and Marianne aren't here, you know, and what this really points to is the power of grassroots. You know, so if you didn't start this today, you know, and if Bob didn't, you know, or all of you who are working on this Facebook, I wouldn't have known. And we need, I think with this grassroots piece feels like very powerful to me, you know, because all the you know, the different arrangements and on boards or this or that, you know, it's a different world now. We really have to rebuild the bridge and be the bridge, I think. So that's all I'm saying. And I really appreciate, you know, all the, you know, wise conversation that you've initiated, Catherine. And yeah, I'd like to see this grow. And you know, so we all have to be part of the rebuilding of our world and art education towards it. That's all.
That's true. Keep us on our toes. The more we think, the better we do.
Well, it's the connection. I mean,
Yes.
it's
Oh,
power
that's a big thing.
Zoom.
Yeah.
power of Zoom and being here today and choosing to be here, and you know, and where we go from here. And as long as we don't have a brownout, we can stay connected.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Have any of you read the book that Patricia Heaton wrote on second chapter, my second act, I think it's called, my second act? Because I just started reading it, and it's just an amazing book that I felt horrible that I retired. I really had a tough time with it because number one, I didn't want to, and my son kind of convinced me that if I wanted to see my grandchildren again during the pandemic, that's what I was going to have to do. And it was really to pick, I had to pick family over my career. But feeling kind of sorry for myself, I started listening to her book, and she's got some great ideas about not letting go of your passion. If it's your passion, you got to keep continuing. And I see so many of my friends who've retired that have found other passions. And I'm kind of thinking, I want to bring you back into this art education idea, because And Kathy, are you still here? I don't know if she took a break or not.
Yeah, she's here.
Okay, Kathy, the conversation that we had before everybody came on, that's what's so so inspiring and so important. And this idea of how art, it doesn't go away. So I don't know if you want to talk anything about that again too.
Yeah, Catherine and I were talking just about how art just continues with us through life, and how it's so valuable, because there are so many different avenues you can go as you retire. And some of us may continue on with art education in some way, or we may be, just educating and advocating for the arts, or we may be in other work, but art is still with us. And just that conversation about keeping art in our communities, and that need and necessity for it, I think also helps when we're talking about art programs and getting people and young students interested in teaching and in education, and also joining these programs and groups. I just think it's just, so necessary. And I think there's just a whole huge area that we could cover with just that one message. I just think it's so, everything about what we do as art educators and retirees in art, it's just so powerful, and we have that gift. So I hope in some way we can all give it.
I just had an opportunity, I had a transformation myself through the pandemic. I had, just because we were taking a break from the Summer Vision DC program that I did for 10 years, taking art educators through museums, kind of a museum boot camp in 4 days. So, and we were taking a break in 2020, Carol Henry and myself, and then came the pandemic. And so I started teaching online, and I still am. I do workshops for teachers and docents. And I would love to, if there's another morning that people want to spend together, I would love to engage you and do it with you. But anyway, there are just a lot of ways that we can reinvent with current purpose and collaboration. So I'm very open to it, and I'd love to share. I've learned a lot about how to teach on Zoom. I get people, connect, because looking at a work of art together builds community, even if it's just a half hour. And then I get people creating as well. And we've been looking at resilience and, different virtues. But anyway, so, I'm teaching visual fitness. Visual literacy is too passive for me. Visual fitness is much more appropriate.
That's a neat idea word, visual
So
fitness.
anyway, I'd be really happy to share. So it's like through the real connection, just like we do in our classrooms, that brings us together. So feel free to call on me, but I'm like really psyched. I mean, my purpose is like, it's there, and I'd love to do it in collaboration. So
Bob,
right. I got to check the supply list.
Is there a way that we can, I don't know if we want to put it in chat or what our email address is, so that we can get in touch with people after this today?
You bet. I think whatever people feel is the best way to do it, you can do it that way. I also will at the end share a folder where we will have a way to put your artwork that you create with Linda. Catherine's presentation will be there. I created a form where people can share ideas. And so if that is a dropping off point, that can also include email addresses. Feel free to put anything in there that might be helpful for the group.
I put my email on my cell phone too, if anybody wants to email me or text me.
Part of recording this also is we get a download of all the text, the chat. So I can make sure that's included as well.
Sorry, I didn't know that I didn't have my stuff on. How lovely I look. That's why I should have the picture on.
We're not here for beauty. We're just here for us. We can look at Bob if we want to see some beautiful things. He's older
And
now,
Bob,
so.
Bob, thank you so much for doing this. It's wonderful.
It is.
My
It's on.
pleasure.
Oh, you're there.
Yeah, I am. NATA for years have tried to support workshops, and years ago we had some that were in person, and that was something Lorinda Rice, who was my co-president at the time, did. And then when I came back on as president-elect, it was like, where are we missing some things? And it was opportunities like this. So we did one back in January for people who teach at multi-levels, K-12 or other multi-levels, because there was, again, that niche of people that maybe don't feel like they're, they have quite that fit. And so we try to bring some resources in for that. And then this is a good example today. So it's our pleasure. And I'm just glad we were able to put it together. And then for Catherine and Linda to be presenting today, it's amazing.
Great leadership.
Outstanding.
Our pleasure. Thank you for being here today. We're going to start here in about 2 minutes. So if you need a quick break, please take care of that. And Linda will be on board here in a couple of minutes. Thanks for coming.
That's good.
Also in the chat, Donna put her email address or Floweries if you want to send her anything for the newsletter.
Right. We don't know what you're doing if you don't tell us. And, we want to put things in there that would be of import to everybody. This workshop I thought was a great thing. And we did put that in there. And I think you also put it online on the Facebook page.
That's what I like about our Facebook page. We can
Babe,
actually share
Babe, Bob. My husband's name is
called you
Bob.
Babe.
Also.
He called you Babe, Bob.
It says here there's 16 participants. Is that like the total that you got?
No, we had
sign up?
almost 50 registrants.
Whoa.
Well,
So it
that's
was
what
good.
I thought.
Yeah, but I think we had a little over that when we had our one in January, and we had about 30 that attend. So you always have a lot that register, and then other things happen. And then I think nowadays they kind of know we tend to record a lot of things. And so if you can't attend, that you're going to probably be able to watch it later. So we'll make sure the recording's available to everybody.
I have a quick question for Betsy, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Betsy, what are you planning for NATA June? Are you going to be doing anything to get the group together?
Well, we have a scheduled business meeting. And then we have the awards, that's the one. And then we've got, like I said, Lorraine and Debbie and I hopefully will be doing the workshop, but I was thinking we could do an impromptu, from on Facebook, hey, let's all meet at blah, 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 or something like that, just to see what happens. I don't know what'll happen from it, but most of the things that you schedule, you have to do a proposal, if you want to have a set time. But I'm hoping that people will come, the business meeting, Dean, anybody can come to the business meeting, right? Oh, I didn't hear you.
Yes, they can. I
That's
didn't
a good
realize I
place.
was muted,
That's a good place to get together.
which is probably a good thing, but that's beside the point.
No, we love you, Dean. You can talk whatever you want. But those are the two, the business meeting and the awards
Right.
are actual scheduled times. Of course, they're only 50 minutes, or even the awards aren't as long as they used to be. But that's a good place to connect, and then we can,
Well, Betsy, I'm gonna suggest, and I'm really good at volunteering people because that's what I do best. But I'm thinking you should have Debbie West in charge of the social gathering, and she'll do the bang-up job. I'll assist, but I'll follow in her shadow because she's good at the social part.
Party, Debbie. And you make a good dirty martini with olives.
I was just gonna say, notice how quiet I've been today. I'm sort of multitasking this morning. When Bob just said, a lot of times people sign up for stuff and then they can't do it. I really didn't think I was gonna be able to be on this, but I made it work, you guys, and I'm so glad I did, because this was amazing. Yeah.
Debbie doesn't know the word retired at all, so.
No, we're just retired from the
From
classroom.
the classroom, yeah.
You have
Yeah.
much more time to do things now.
Oh, yeah. I don't
Oh
know
my
how I
God.
taught and did what I did when I taught because I'm so busy now. It's like,
True.
Catherine, you're right on. I'm pretty sure Debbie West's middle name is Party.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure, pretty confident. it's her middle
DPW.
name. She'll have to show her birth certificate at some point to confirm that. So,
Little P, little Y, big ART.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. There you
Okay.
go. Just came up with another thing that you can use, a little tagline. So,
There you go.
hey, folks, great conversation. Love the celebration that's happening on here. And it certainly can continue here at the end if people want to stay on. That'll be great. But I know Linda has an amazing sharing for us this morning. Oh, yes, she does. There's no doubts. And so, Linda, whenever you are ready, the floor is yours. We are thrilled that you're with us this morning. Thank you.
Okay, I'm hoping when I'm speaking, it's big on your screen. Yes, Howard? No.
Yes.
Okay, we, one little thing, hold on.
Touch the plus.
They can click
And
speak.
people can do that on their end. They just need to go on your picture, click on the three dots, and they can say pin, and that will make your screen the biggest on here. So they can do that themselves on their own end if they'd like to. Go to the three dots on Linda's picture and click the word pin, and it will make it large.
Okay, but we're trying to get it big on mine, so Howard would be able to see what he's filming
Easier.
easier. Huh, I thought when I was speaking, mine would be,
Well, you have so much to share. Let's do
okay,
it.
we better just get started and he will deal with it.
Yeah.
Let's
Make
go,
sure it's
girl.
on full screen.
No, that's what we can't get.
You go to view, and under
Go to
you
view,
should have
yeah.
full screen.
Okay,
Up in the right corner, there should be maybe a view. If you hit full screen, that should help.
I'm on an iPad and I'm seeing
Ah.
more.
On the iPad, it's up on the left. I forget where it is on the iPad. It might be on the left. It's weird on an iPad.
I don't, oops, wait a minute. Nope.
No, I can handle it.
Okay, he says he can handle it. If you, can you hear me okay?
We sure can.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna go.
Jump on that stage.
All right, hi, sorry for the technical difficulties. I mean, it really makes me feel old when I run into technical difficulties, but oh well, it's true. I'm very happy to be working with you today. I'm here in my studio in Hampstead, Maryland, which is north of Baltimore. And if you hear this eerie sound in the background, we are experiencing our cicada tsunami right now.
Oh, God.
It's disgusting. So while I know you're anxious to get to work. So I'm just going to chat for a moment. And while I'm doing that, you can take a look around my studio, hopefully slowly without getting motion sickness. So anyway, I consider myself a narrative, found object, assemblage, sculptor, or artist. So for me, it all starts off with the story. The story is what drives the whole work. I get my inspiration often from lyrics and songs. I'm listening to music all the time and I'll get an earworm and it's like, oh, okay. Or maybe it's something that I've read in a poem or a book. And I have hundreds of titles written down. These are what I call working titles, just to get me started. Most of the time, though, they end up being the title of the work because it really gives me my intention for working. For some reason, then one of those ideas will jump to the forefront and I'll start gathering materials, objects.
Somebody said tap on pin on iPad. Tap on pin, tap on the object, and then pin.
I don't see where pin is.
click on her picture
We
on
are.
the screen and then click, there should be 3 little dots and you should click it or well, yeah, and the 3 dots should say pin. But we see you good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's working great. Whatever he's
It's
doing
working
is
fine.
fantastic. No
Can
worries.
enlarge.
Oh, but he can enlarge, but that's okay. We'll deal with it.
Okay.
Okay, so this is my cue, just like your movie cue. So once one of those working titles moves up in my brain, I start gathering objects. All right, and this is for me like visual brainstorming. There's nothing judgmental about it. Usually when I'm working on one piece or a couple pieces, I'll come across something like, oh, well, maybe I could put that in the box for, this is stuff I'm gathering for a piece about little boys. And then something inspires me to move it to the workbench. So I have 2 workbenches. Sometimes that jump takes place because I'm inspired by an object or a lyric really moves me and I have to start working on it. So this is a piece that's in progress. It's titled, the working title is Those Who Want to Sing Will Always Find a Song. I had this little box for a long time and I added this piece of wood on the top with the bird. And then that sat there for months. I can take this off because it's kind of fragile and I don't want to break it. And then I heard that line from a poem or saying, and I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do with that. And then the next weekend, I'm at a flea market and I see this wooden xylophone. Well, of course, that has to go with it. I mean, and that kind of thing happens all the time where when something's in my zone, I feel like things sort of come to me. Anyway, so I have painted the inside of the box. Sometimes I paint it gold, sometimes I paint it white. Especially if you have a deep box, you want to keep that light because otherwise your objects get lost. I might end up covering that up totally, but oh well. And usually I would start there, but now I'm discovering that maybe I'm getting riskier with more experience. And I'm attaching things, I'm thinking outside the box, and I'm attaching things to the outside. Well, I might want to do that first, so I don't have to drill through the paper or the fabric or whatever is covering the background. I don't know what this funky box is, but also I have learned, think about how you're going to hang the piece early, because you don't want to have it finished and then be pounding on it. That's a tip I've learned along the way, let me tell you. So anyway, one of my favorite things is Mod Podge. Okay, I'm like doing an advertisement for them. You can use Mod Podge for papers or fabric, natural objects. So I'm just brushing it on there. You can get to work on yours while I'm chatting. If you have some background materials and you have your Mod Podge. Okay, oftentimes I coat it over, but sometimes that gets a little wrinkly. So I might just leave this for right now. It depends upon what I'm going to put in front of it. Okay, and this is one of my favorite songs. So everything that I'm going to put into this sculpture has to do with the story. Okay, so one of the reasons I often have several pieces going at a time is because now I gotta let that dry. So I'm gonna set that aside. This is a nature piece. And by the way, the whole nature series began with COVID because the gym was closed. And it was like, well, I don't want to turn into a total slob, so I got to do something. So I started jogging. Well, I think I'm running, but I am 71. So anyway, I'm winning the gold in the senior division. So you can see I've already attached my hanging device. I don't think this is going to get too heavy. And this is my little nature area. This is titled All Around Us is a Slow Resurrection. I'm thinking of springtime now. Everything, you know, the dandelions. I love dandelions. They were the first yellow, the first color. And we went for a walk in the woods and I found this turtle shell. So, you know, it came to me. I've covered the background with paper and I've added some turtle shells in there. I'm going to lay this down for a second because I wanted to share for permanent stuff. I use the E6000, or when I first started working on these, I used marine goop. I figure if it's holding a boat together, it should be okay for my sculpture. The idea that it be archival is very important to me. So especially with the nature things, you really want to make sure that you seal them. If something is like the xylophone hanging from the bottom, I'm not just going to glue it. Chances are it's not going to stay. I try to find some way to screw it in or nail it or something to make it permanent. So far on this, since this piece is just sitting on the top, I glued it, but then I do believe I still screwed it in there. I came across this bone a few weeks later and it was like, that's perfect. And I loved how it repeated the shape of the piece of furniture. I feel like this old piece of furniture is having a resurrection because I'm using it in this sculpture. And I like the idea of the man made with the natural objects. So everything here has been sealed with Mod Podge, or if something is very delicate, like look at this, a hornet's nest. So we just found that. So I think that might end up going in here someplace, but I don't know how just yet, of course. I never know what the sculpture is going to look like when I start, because I just have this pile of stuff and I have the story. So it's kind of like what works structurally, what works for the story. I want to tell my story. I want it to be an interesting composition. And I want it to be archival. So I know this is going in there, but I haven't attached it yet because I don't attach anything until it's permanent, till I'm sure. So that might go in there. I'm getting back in here. Okay. The turtle shell, I wanted it to be sticking up. So I put some blocks underneath. And then now I'm adding some thistle and some dandelions to hide the blocks. So things happen kind of as a result of the work I've done so far, which again, I didn't plan on doing, but it all just evolves, and you have to learn to trust the process. So this piece again is about spring and things coming back to life. So I've started to gather up some natural materials. This might hang, I don't know, I have to drill a hole. Feathers, because the birds are coming back. But I will say you have to be careful with feathers because there is a migratory bird law. Like I had a piece in a gallery and it was questioned if it was a migratory bird because you can't use them in art. Who knew? There you go. All right. Also on the workbench. Oh, by the way, before I leave that, for things that are delicate like this hornet's nest, I don't want to be slapping Mod Podge on there. So I use spray. But I have learned with natural things, you really need to seal everything because little critters could be living in there and you don't want that in your house or somebody else's house. So anyway, so there's the kind of work area for this piece.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, are we okay? All right, so I'll keep moving a little bit. I wanted to point, this is a series that I've been working on just this last couple months. I found this vintage compact and perhaps, you know, I'm seeing the lines and the wrinkles and worried about quote unquote beauty. And that sort of inspired this whole series. This is titled You're Beautiful as You Feel, Carole King song. I also like going back and forth between freestanding sculptures and pieces that hang on the wall, relief sculpture, and different ideas. We're going from a natural piece to this piece that's about my relationship with self, my relationship with being female. All of my pieces are about my relationship with something. It starts off very personal, and then in the process, I think of other people that I know, and it ends up becoming much more universal. I'm thinking about all women in this, not just me. This was kind of a good example of the happy accident, and you can see it has the compact, and the compact was glued with E6000 to this, I think it's a drawer pull. And I had this wonderful circular pin holder. So I glued that on the back, and then I Mod Podged a doily on the back, and then I glued the brooch, because didn't old ladies always wear brooches? Oh, never mind, I'm an old lady. Okay, so, and then when I set it down, the whole thing tipped over from the weight on the back. I was like, well, what the heck? So I tried attaching fishing weights underneath here. That wasn't enough. So I eventually just glued the whole thing to, I believe this is a coaster. So that happy accident actually led to this piece, which is even more elaborate. And I had to get a taller base because the beads were too long. Oh, somebody's saying I should have YouTube. Okay, I do have a YouTube. I have a Linda Pop YouTube that I have at the start of this COVID, Baltimore County Public Schools switched to, distance learning and having to work with the materials that the kids had, working with collections. So it was like, oh, Linda, can we use some of your work? And I'm like, of course. And then it was like, oh, Linda, could you make a YouTube video? I'm like, what? But anyway, I have this wonderful film crew, so we tried it. So I have about 5 or 6 videos now sharing my process. Some are better than others. The first one was about collections, working with collections. And then the second one, a high school teacher said, well, how about talking about narratives? So the second one is about narratives, and we'll see. I did want to point out, this is very in progress. And to let you know, some of my little techniques are this perfume and this Barbie cone, which again, just last night, I realized, whoa, look at how that's the same shape as the mirror. Let me try that. Well, I'm not sure. So I just used a little hot glue. Just a little touch of hot glue to hold these in place. Because like I said, I do not glue anything down with the heavy duty stuff until I'm sure it's exactly what I want. Believe me, I've been there where I've had to pry stuff off. Anyway, okay, while we're here, if you look back a little bit, this piece is so fun. How are we doing for time? Oh, we're good. This piece is so fun, and this kind of gives you an example of my process a little bit. I found this oven at a flea market probably last summer, maybe even before that, because did we have any last summer? I don't know. For $2. And then when I came home, I realized, oh, this box fits perfectly on top of it. So that has to go there. And the whole little oven made me think about girls, little girls and their dreams. And now let's fast forward to 2020, and yoo-hoo, we have a female vice president. So it got me thinking about how today's little girls, how their dreams must be very different from when I was little. And then I think about my mother and her dreams. And actually Linda purchased one of my pieces that was titled, Do Our Dreams Will All Come to Be Someday, something like that. And it was thinking about my mother at the same time as working on this. So this piece, and then I'm at a yard sale and look at this. Is she funny or what? This is an ashtray. And she was the exact size as the top of that box. So of course I had to use it. I needed to include the pearls to represent all of the wonderful women that we're seeing in leadership positions now. So I was thinking about myself and then again, all the different women and different generations of women and how the idea of what you could be when you grow up has changed. So I'm very excited about this piece, and this piece is headed to an exhibit in Annapolis called The Eye of the Beholder, The Art of the Found Object. So if we want to slowly come over here, well, he's making the long trip. That's a good idea. I can check my notes while he's doing that. See if I missed anything. Coming? Is this my good side? So this is another piece that's in progress, titled, the working title is Enjoying the Passing of Time, James Taylor song, so you can kind of tell the music I listen to. And I wanted to point this out, it's on a skate. Whoops, and that's not permanent, obviously. And like, this is why I fell in love with doing this, because this work is giving me the opportunity to stop and think about all of the things that have brought me joy throughout my life. Like, how wonderful is that? From the very beginning, I felt I think probably like 20 years ago, I made my first assemblage, and it was about my mother. And I totally fell in love with the process. And it's kept me going ever since. What I wanted to point out on this, first of all, I glued the wheels because I've learned that exhibits don't like it when your artwork can move around. So again, I'm just thinking about my joys over the years. None of this is permanent yet. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a photo, which allows me to look at the composition and then try to move things a different way and look at the composition and before I make my final decision. I wanted to point out that a little technique I've been using lately is like I drilled holes through this pot holder. Did you weave pot holders when you were little? I sold them to the neighbors. But I can't just glue this figure on the top and expect him to stay there. So I've drilled holes and actually have him wired in place. And there's a hole here going through the pot holder that this Christmas light is really stuck in. These party horns are meant to move, so that's okay. But a very in progress piece. And again, working in the round, I enjoyed that, the added challenge. Mod Podge on the pot holder, probably the glue on the little record disc. Mod Podge on the paper. The other things are glued on. Do an amazing job, film crew. It was my brother and I going into Kittyland in Chicago. So that's very important to me. So I want that to show. But it's us from the back, so it could be any little children going into Kittyland. So pomegranates are one of my favorite things. This I know is going to get glued back there someplace. I'm hoping to sort of act as a spotlight behind the ice skater. No, I'm not Peggy Fleming, but we did go ice skating quite a bit in Chicago. And I'm thinking about corn on the cob and pistachios. So I just am gathering up. I'm thinking this might be the pedestal. I need to put her up higher, but I want the pedestal to be meaningful too. So that little photo cube could have been what was used when that photo was taken. So there's that. All right, a couple other things I'll point out. This is another in progress titled Take a Moment, Take a Rest. So I want it to be very calm and quiet. I think that's kind of new for me, thinking about the sound of things. This bone and this shell right now are just hot glued in place because I'm not sure. I mean, originally I had thought about these bones fitting in there. And then I thought, nah, I don't think seeing those teeth is gonna make me feel calm and take a moment and rest. So I didn't glue those in, obviously, but that's my cue for that. This is kind of my nature section. My very expensive flower press. I thought I was going to ask for a flower press for Christmas, but then I was like, nah, this is kind of fits me a little bit more using this old dictionary. It's a found object, upcycling things. So while other artists are out doing sketches, I'm out gathering stuff. Oh, the organization of it, that's what people always ask me about. How do you organize? And you can see I have all kinds of cabinets, any kind of containers. Usually, you know, I find, oh, I forgot about those Tinker Toys. Usually when I'm actually working on a piece, I end up going through lots and lots of stuff. Because even though I think my organization is pretty good, it could, I don't know. I'm doing the best I can. There you go. If you come over this way, Howard, you can see these pieces here on the wall are what I consider collages. One of the things as being a retired art teacher, or just getting beyond the point of taking classes, is where do you get your challenge from? You know, the kids in school, you give them an assignment and they have to figure out how to find their voice and meet the criteria for that assignment. For us, we have to find ways to challenge ourselves. And one of them for me has been different exhibits where there was an art on paper exhibit that I thought, wow, okay, I've been thinking about wanting to do collage or working flatter. Let me try and see if I can work that way and get a piece accepted in that show. I think that one that Howard's showing you right now was my first one. I came across, at the beginning of COVID, I came across that photo of my brothers and me. And then I think it was a song, I heard the lyric, I always thought I'd see you again. And it started me thinking about that's what I want to explore. My memories with my two brothers and how I feel about missing them. And, you know, they're gone and everybody's dealing with that with the pandemic. We couldn't be with the ones we love. So all of that kind of came together into that piece. So so there's another, what would I say? Another form that is a challenge for me. As you saw from the work on the wall, when I first started doing these, I did clocks. I felt like I was telling stories over time. And actually, my very first piece was a prototype for a lesson that I did. I think the problem statement was, let's see, explore the symbolism of found objects in order to create a portrait of a person that you've had a long-term relationship with. Well, I fell in love with the process. As I said, the kids did absolutely wonderful work. They were working on very realistic portraits at the time, and I felt they needed some new energy. So every Monday we had sculpture day, and they got to bring in all their stuff, and we had drills and glue and sealer and, you know, the clocks, and it was just amazing. And they were very authentic and took many risks and shared very personal stories. And I did the same. And I think because I was doing that, it allowed them to do that. One of the nice things about working in found objects is you know what it is that you're saying. Is the viewer going to interpret that the same way? Maybe not. So I can really put my fears and my negative experiences in my work I know they're there. I got to have that understanding about myself. If the viewer doesn't get that, that's okay. But one of the things that keeps me going is that something from my story might inspire them to reflect on their own story. And we could take that even a step further and maybe inspire them to take some action or to have a new thought, a new idea. So how we doing? What time we got?
You're doing fantastic. You still have a few minutes if you have more to share.
Okay, well, does anybody have a question? That might be a way to go.
No one's posted anything in the chat.
Okay. Oh, I've just.
We're encouraging people to unmute if you have a question for Linda. Betsy did say, have you heard of the Alabama artist Charlie Lucas? He's a found object artist.
No, but I will be writing that down.
Yeah, he does a lot of, it's more outsider art, but he's crazy. All his stories are based on his memories and things.
Yeah.
And when he finds a piece, he does it. He did a workshop for us in Alabama. And you're going to laugh at this. He did a face for me and he put a big mouth on it because he said I was like a menu. He never knew he was going to get with me. So big mouth was appropriate.
And we're taking that as a positive, Betsy.
Right.
Yeah. I would.
He's interesting.
Oh, good. I wrote his name down. I'll have to look it up. I do have a website, www.lindapop.com. It's not really exciting, but maybe that'll be my next project. And I have Instagram and Twitter at lpoparts. And I have my YouTube channel at Linda Pop. So, and if you have questions or concerns, you can email me, lpopart@gmail.com. And I love this.
Linda, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So my question is, you have a lot of the ephemera that I grew up with as well. Is it hard to part with the holy cards and some of the things that are really personal, or is it freeing to glue them in and find a home for them? Or
I'm thinking if there really was anything that I said, no, I'm not. I will say this, it took me a while to put my high school ring, to give that up and put that in a piece.
Yeah.
But I finally did, because it's like, well, what's my daughter going to do with that? And she might not even know what that is. And it might inspire someone else to think about their high school years and yada, yada, yada. So yeah, I'm pretty good with not holding on.
I'm impressed with that. I really am. I'm impressed with that, but then it also makes me take it really seriously that I'm guarding your mom.
Right. I was just going to say, Linda is the one that just purchased a piece that you saw on Facebook, I believe, or Instagram or something. And again, I was thinking about little girls' dreams. And I came across that little bitty picture of my mother. And she looked like maybe she was in her 20s. And I thought, gosh, what were her dreams? And did she have regrets? I think. Right. So sometimes I'm up here crying and sometimes I'm up here dancing and singing. But it's, like with the piece about my brothers, there were some melancholy times, but in the end, it's so wonderful to, again, have those understandings of yourself. I learn about the world around me through my art. And, again, with the students, I felt that was very powerful.
I think that's why your work is strong, because you're brave enough to really share yourself through it. I think some people who do found object art, they're just gathering things that don't mean something to them, and it doesn't have the depth. It doesn't resonate. I mean, you can see for your works which ones have really affected you. It's very clear, and I think you're really brave,
See
and I
that
think
it's-
that is beautiful. It gives it a real strength.
Thank you. I try. I think I can often get ideas when I look at like some assemblage art, but if it's just about arranging objects in an
Right.
interesting composition, that's not enough for me. For
Right.
me, as I said at the very beginning, it's the story, it's having that intention that drives the objects that I select and oftentimes how I arrange them. But yeah, and again, through that art making process, it goes way beyond me, but it always starts with me.
Right.
So
But it becomes a kind of immortality where your loved ones kind of step in as an everyman for our loved ones as well. And it resonates. And, you know, isn't that immortality?
well, there you go now. Huh. I'll add immortal to my. Oh, but I mean, to be inspired by events that are going on around you at the moment or in your history, your hopes and your dreams, all that can come into it. And as long as you're being true to yourself,
right?
And you were saying, I think that is expressed in the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
Linda?
Yes. Which was
so-
Linda?
So Linda, I just wanted to ask, there's one thing about being retired is I forget the answers. I know we have talked about just Snell as an influence. And I thought you said you either studied with him, or can you tell us a little bit about that?
well, I'm from Chicago.
Yes.
And we're switching. I'm from Chicago, and of course, Art Institute of Chicago has a Joseph Cornell room. And when I would go to the Art Institute, I would see his work. And that's stuck in there. I think I have my master's in printmaking. And I think my first mentor would be Kathy Collins. I mean, I love strong women that tell stories, and they're very authentic and real. And Betty Saar, and even Baltimore's
Joyce
Scott.
Yep.
They're not my stories, but just that these women are out there telling stories from a woman's perspective. I think that's the piece that took me a while to feel that I could do that a woman's perspective was all right. Of course, you're talking to someone that came from an education where we didn't even look at female artists at all. We didn't know they existed. And then of course, me working in found objects, when all of my friends are painters and I'm teaching drawing and painting, I felt almost like a little bit of a second-class citizen. So it really took me a while as an artist to be empowered to tell my stories and to use found objects to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready for that. Any other questions?
That's a lot of work you and Howard are doing there, walking around and just inviting us into your space. It's so beautiful. It's truly amazing.
How do you attach your clocks, your pendulums? I love your clock.
It's a little clock works. I'll have to look it up. I think it's something like Old Village something. And you're talking 20 years ago, I started hitting these clockworks. I'll look it up and see if he still exists. But let me look back here. It's a whole little gizmo that it has the clockworks and it comes with the pen.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's already there. I enjoyed the challenge of having to work, to leave the clock, though I've never told time about it. I never said, oh, it's 1 o'clock. But again, the idea that they were stories over time. And I love the movement.
Yeah.
But then a friend challenged me and said, Linda, you should make one that's not a clock. Oh, it took me the longest time to be able to do that. And finally, actually, it was an exhibit called Small Wonders, NFA. Renee is familiar with that, where the maximum size of the work was 11 inches. Well, I couldn't figure out how to fit a clock in there. So that sort of pushed me to try something small. Again, finding ways to challenge yourself.
Cool.
Yeah. So let me reach in here real quick. I don't want you looking up my nose or anything, but this is kind of fun because this past summer I had so much nature stuff, and I've been saving these little mint tins like forever. So this is like an Altoids mint can, and this is, I call my embellished mint tins because I added that piece on the top. And I like, these are, I think, Vermeer's little tiny treasures in the Met. And then this strainer was just laying there, and this mint tin fit perfect between the strainer part and the handle. It was like, well, that's meant to be. So then this became Rattle Those Pots and Pans. Thinking about, again, the roles of women. And I love cameos. If anybody has any cameos they want to send my way, please cheap ones. Because to me, that domesticity is beautiful.
Percolator top.
Percolator top. Betty, look at, there you are. That's from Cupcake Mix, I think. So, and didn't our mothers have little balls of string? I think I have balls of string. What am I talking about? So, okay. Are we good?
Linda, you've done incredible. Hey, would Howard be willing to be on camera? Can we see Howard on camera? Is he willing to flip the camera around just so we can say hello? He did an amazing job.
That was an inspiration today, I'm sure.
Hey, Howard.
Carry on.
There we go.
There,
Oh, chime on.
Enlarging and reducing with my fingers, and then we couldn't do that.
We couldn't get it hooked up.
You did a good job. It was
You did
awesome.
incredible. You did really
You're
well.
very welcome.
Oh, wait, while I'm here, let me look at, this is a piece that's actually inspired by Howard and his sons, thinking about men and boys, men and sons, and how they stay connected over time. The George Chapin song, Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon. So notice the rabbit ears and the rabbit. All right, I'm done.
That's cute.
I'm gonna hand this back.
Oh, she could go on for hours.
No, I can't. No, I can't. So anyway, well, I hope you enjoyed and, stay connected with me. And I can't wait to see your work in the folder. How many people actually worked on something today? Yay! Good. Get your Mod Podge, get your drill going.
It was more fun watching you.
Yeah, I really did. It was incredible.
Got to start gluing.
Gotta start gluing. Okay, take a risk.
Hold up what she started. Did somebody start something? Show us.
I did. I started
Can you show
something.
us?
Hold it up.
I'm
I don't
thinking
know
of
if I
stuff.
can
but
hold it
then-
up, but I can, wait a minute. Let me unpin. It's
I
so,
took a picture of
all
something
these
I was working on.
Oh,
things.
cool. Yeah, take a picture with your
go.
phone.
Yeah.
Times here.
Oh, cool.
I'm
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Mm.
Ah,
Yeah,
piace molto.
Upside
Whoa.
down, that's all I got. I'm working on it.
great start, great start. By the way, one of the pluses of having several pieces going at the same time is, sometimes you have to let stuff dry. So what are
Yeah.
you gonna do? Sit there all day? So
Right.
that way you can go and work on another piece. And
Right.
you don't
Can't see yours,
have
Linda.
tons of equipment. I'm
uh,
looking right now,
Donna.
I see.
Yeah,
I saw
Donna
my
is sharing something
my
on her
key-
screen. Thank you, Donna.
Say
Hi.
something, Donna, so it'll pop up
There
bigger.
it is. Okay, are you watching? Is it there?
Oh, let me unpin.
Oh, wait. That way. No,
Whoop, we lost your face. I mean, lost you.
that way. Okay,
I
shoot.
think you turned your camera off. There we go.
There.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Oh, cool.
now.
Look at there.
Yeah, flamingo.
Oh,
Oh, is it
Nice.
wrong?
yeah,
No, it's good.
Okay,
that's all right. It's cool.
okay.
Very nice. Very
Well,
nice.
let me show you this. Can you see this?
Oh, shoes are
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, well, this was another workshop I did, and Bob Reeker, Bob Anderson, was a DJ for like 25 years. And so I have like a little tiny microphone here that's going to go in the one I'm working on now. And I put glitter inside this little secrets box, and I'm going to paint the outside of the secrets box to look like a radio,
Oh,
so that it could
cool.
also close. And so I have like little microphones and little tiny guitar, and I made a little record. You see this?
Oh, that's
Mhm.
cute.
Nice.
And so I also have a flamingo because he's crazy. But anyway, that's it. Okay, now I'm turning my stuff off.
We have there's a teacher in my town that she does her students, they do shoes, like kind of like yours, Donna, but they assemble it. That she does, those kids do some of the most amazing things with shoes.
Mm.
And they put things all over them and spray paint them and different colors and they've won state awards, but they're so cool.
Well, this was Melanie Guyon who did this workshop, and she did shoes for what's the place in New Orleans? House of Blues. And so
Oh,
she
okay.
actually worked for House of Blues until the Katrina hurricane, and then she had to move from New Orleans, and she kept doing the shoes, and they were sold in the gift shop. Anyway,
Oh,
I'll
that's
stop.
cool.
Nice. Well, Linda, thank you so much for giving us that amazing tour this
Awesome.
morning, seeing your work, seeing your studio. It was very incredible. So thank you so much. And we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this morning. What a great way to spend a Saturday morning together, building community and learning from one another, talking about creating. It's a very impactful. I want to give a chance for Kathy Barta or Debbie Kipley. Either one of you want to say a goodbye, a thank you, and then I'll finish up with a couple of things. Feel free to unmute yourselves.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kathy. I'm not sure Debbie
Okay,
is
if
available.
she's there. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Well, on behalf of retired art teachers everywhere and just everybody that's in art education, a big thank you and shout out to everyone for all your efforts and time and years put into such a valuable subject area. And this was great. And I thank everybody for getting on from all across the country. That's what was really neat about this, Bob. I loved seeing the wide variety that we had today. So I think that was awesome. And thanks everybody for joining us.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. Debbie, did you want to say some words?
Hi, Lorraine. This was really good. Too bad other Nebraska people weren't joining us, but hopefully we can build on this.
Great. Thank you, Debbie. I want to provide some thank yous as well. Of course, Catherine and Linda, bravo. Amazing information, amazing sharing on your parts. Really appreciate you both taking time out of your schedule to do this for us. Kathy and Debbie, thank you being liaisons on our board as retired emeritus members. We appreciate you both very much. Want to give a shout out to Betsy for her sharing this morning. Howard, great camera work, very impressive on what you did there. And then I want to give a shout out to both Rebecca Jorgensen as well as Samantha Goulden, who are directors who also help coordinate some of these efforts for these workshops. And then the NATA board for approving this initiative, because without the support and the money to be able to pay our presenters, we wouldn't be able to do these kinds of things. So we're very thankful to the board of directors for doing that. I'm going to briefly share my screen, and then we're going to let you go and have lunch and enjoy the rest of your day. In the chat here, I'm going to put a link to this folder right here. So there is going to be a folder where you can put imagery that you've created today, tomorrow, next week, if you want to share out. Catherine's presentation is here. A couple images of Linda's work that she shared is here. And then there's a document here that you can put ideas. And Betsy, you can access this and pull information. People can drop emails and on there, whatever. Use it as you wish. Don't use it as you wish. It's just another place where people can put things if they are interested in having that there. So let me stop sharing. And in the chat real quick, let me put that link. And then I will share that link also on all the different social media platforms. So you'll see it on the NAA Emeritus Facebook page. I'll put it on Nebraska's. I'll put it on the Western Region one. So you'll have access. Give me a day or two. I'll get the recording in there, and then feel free to share out, use as you wish. So unless anybody has anything else, thank you so much for joining us today and being part of the sharing. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for hosting it.
It was our pleasure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Stay cool wherever you're at. We know there's a heat wave going on across the country, so stay.
I think it's hotter where y'all are than we are in Alabama.
We're going to get pretty hot here in the next few days. So yeah. All right. Take care, everybody. Good to see you all.
Bye, guys. Thank you. It was
Bye.
awesome.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, buddy. Come to National New York.
How in the world do I get out of here?